Conrad's dead. Who's Conrad?
So let's talk about the girl from Plainville. How was the process of making the show? You're one of the creators, so how the idea get to you?
So, well, first of all, it came to me via our studio, Universal Content Productions, which I've been producing for several years. They had found the article, "The Girl from Plainville," by Jesse Barron, who worked for Esquire, wrote it for Esquire. Jesse and I met. I found in talking to him that this story went a lot deeper than I thought, because I came to the table with the exact same impressions as everyone else, which was this was a Black widow who lured this man into her web. And what he began to educate me on was, no, this goes a lot deeper than that. And then from there, I met with Elle, and Elle and I, started bounce around some ideas. And from there, Liz Hannah, who was the co-creator, co-showrunner, and director of two of the best episodes of the season, she took pity on me and decided to partner with me. And we were off to the races. And the one thing that we knew was that we wanted to tell an honest story, and we also knew that we wanted to tell a story that was sensitive and that didn't sensationalize what was already a sensational story. We wanted to bring three-dimensionality and humanity to a story that was just headlines up until that point.
Yeah, that was something I was going to ask you. This was a big case. I'm from Latin America and I've heard about it. So I wanted to know how big was this, and if you were scared of making this show about something that was such a sensationalist article.
So the answer to the first question is yeah, it was big. I mean, this, look, if you pay attention to the news, it was big, right? Did it bleed into the everyday life of people like some other cases have? No, but if you paid attention to the news, it was a big story, and it was a disturbing story. And so off of that, to answer your second question, yeah, I was terrified. And I'll be honest, like, I was terrified throughout production. I was terrified throughout post. I was terrified up until the moment that it was released. And the reason was twofold. The first was it had nothing to do with whether people liked the show, right? Yeah. It's a subjective medium. Some people are going to like it. Some people are not going to like it. That's just the way art goes, right? Yeah. It was more about the fact that there are real people who are still alive, who are still dealing with their grief over the loss of this young man, and their grief over the actions of this young woman. And then there was the added responsibility, which is that we knew that people were going to be watching this show who were dealing with their own mental health, right? Yeah. Who we knew were going to be affected by what we were doing. And what we wanted them to come away with was threefold. First, there's always someone to talk to. The second is that you can talk to those people, right? There is not a stigma, as much of a stigma around mental health as there used to be, but we still have a long way to go to destigmatize mental health, to ensure that people know that they are not alone, and that there are millions upon millions upon millions of people who are dealing with the exact same thing every single day. Mental health is health. It's as important as a cold, flu, cancer, on and on and on. And so that was terrifying that we weren't going to get it right. And I have to just hope that we did.
Yeah, I think you did.
Thank you.
So I have read a couple of comments of people that this case in particular sets like a bad example for people with mental health struggles, because Michelle also struggled with her mental health, and she was condemned. So what do you think about that? Do you think this case sets a bad example?
No, I don't. And in fact, what I hope is what we set out to do, which is that by having access to thousands of text messages over the course of years of their lives, both separately and together, that we were able to paint a picture of a young woman who was struggling with her mental health. That was left out of the media, or it was at least touched on in a very superficial manner, right? We were trying to show that while not condoning what she did, We're not saying what she did was right, but we are
Yeah.
saying that she was ill as well. She was struggling as well. And so I fundamentally disagree with that perspective on this. But you know, to each his or her own opinion. I can
Yeah.
only say that every single day we set out to try to tell a sensitive story that painted a clearer picture of who this young woman was. And again, succeed or not, that's up to other people to decide, I guess, right?
You just told me that Elle was a part of this process from the beginning.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about her? Because her work is amazing in this show. I think she completely becomes Michelle. So what can you tell me?
I can tell you that that she was my second meeting, right? Like it was Jesse, and then it was Elle, and then Liz came on very shortly thereafter, because Liz and Elle had worked together on a film prior. And thank God Liz came on board, because she saved me and made me look good every single day. I sort of just held on to Liz and was like, thank you for doing this for me or with me. Elle, she was 22 when I met her, I guess. And I'm 45, and I am still not as smart, still not as talented, still not as kind or good-natured or funny as she is. She is an extraordinary person first, and she is an extraordinary actor second. And I will say that I don't know what her process was. I know that this was very difficult for her. That part I know. I know that when she came out every day, she was prepared, and when she went home every night, she was exhausted. She left it all on the table. And so all I can tell you is that she may not feel the same way, but I just hope that she says yes to working with me again in the future, because I would do it in a heartbeat. I'm blown away by her.
I want to tell our story. Our love story.